And welcome to the Lon Yop Show. I am John, and I'll be streaming by myself this evening. Live on my personal Facebook page is how I do this. The video will be recorded and then shared on BitChute.com, on Rumble.com, and on YouTube.com. And I know for the longest time I haven't been doing YouTube, and I'll tell you why. I don't like YouTube. Let me be honest. I don't like YouTube at all. But I decided that I was going to go on YouTube, expect that I may get flagged and banned for whatever, and I'll let them ban me if they ban me. If it happens, it happens. But you got to take the fight into the enemy territory. I don't really have much of a following there on YouTube because I started doing videos on new tech. I did have some in the early days videos that transferred there, and they got some views, but I mean, nothing huge. If you are a follower of me, you subscribe to the content you see. I don't have a huge audience. The Lon Yop Show, Lon Yop means a little something extra. It is absolutely free. This is something I like to do in my free time. I like to talk about things that I think matter. Okay, so it's why I do it. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this. I just do it because I think it matters. I have a full-time job, and it is a passion of mine. I like to talk about these things. I like to have friends on and talk to them about certain things. But I'm going to do it on YouTube. We're going to take the fight into YouTube's territory. If they don't like what I have to say or whatever, you can just find me on all the new tech platforms like BitChute and Rumble. I'm also on Minds, John F337. You can see my posts. You can see also the today's crazy news stuff I'll post on there as well. And, you know, over the week, Dan Bongino, if you know him, he is a conservative podcaster. He got the Rush Limbaugh gig on the radio, and he is huge now. And I've always kind of liked Dan Bongino. Like, you know, you never agree with anybody 100%, but I do like him. I agree with him for the most part on many issues. And here's something I don't like about Dan. I have a bone to pick with him because he took his ball and he went home. He got like 2 out of 3 strikes. His channel was still valid, and he decided to give YouTube, like he said, the double barrel middle finger. And in doing so, he kind of got banned for life from YouTube, but he forced that third one on him where he could have stayed on YouTube, and I think that's a big mistake because he was already announcing he was leaving. I understand he's got a bigger audience than Rumble, and he wants people to leave YouTube and go to Rumble, but the thing is, now none of his content is on YouTube, and I believe to fight the fight, you got to keep taking all this content from elsewhere that you can't get on YouTube and keep putting it on YouTube. You know, when you fight a war, you want to fight it in enemy territory, not your territory. There were still new people that hadn't been exposed to Dan Bongino that could have seen every day. I mean, you want to be everywhere as often as you can. And yeah, it's going to hurt YouTube, but it's better if you don't just take your ball and go home and abandon ship. It's better if YouTube is shooting holes in their own boat trying to get you. You understand? That way it's their own doing. And I know it's still their own doing, but you want to make them push the button itself. And in the meantime, you know, you can still put your videos on YouTube and say, hey, come to Rumble, come to Rumble, come to Rumble, come to Rumble to your YouTube audience. But if you're not even on YouTube, you can't do that. So it's still a great place to recruit. And I'm telling everybody right now, if you are a creator and you have a YouTube account and you're thinking of screw YouTube, you know, and you want to go to all these new tech, branch out with everything, but don't get off Twitter and don't get off YouTube. Stay there so you can keep the battle going. Don't leave Facebook either. Let them ban you if they're going to ban you, but take all this content that you see on Minds, take all this content that you see on BitChute and share it on YouTube or your own video on YouTube, but share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter. If they're going to ban you, they're going to ban you, but get more people, as much people as possible, exposed to this content. So that is why I'm on YouTube. I'm going to, just branching out. I believe we got to be everywhere to let as many people see and influence as many people as possible, even though I do prefer the alt-tech platform. So don't hate me for that, folks, but I do want to try to, it's like recruiting, right? You go to enemy territory, you're trying to convince people and recruit them to come to your side. So all my alt-tech lovers out there, that is what we're doing. So that's why I want to broadcast on YouTube. And also, we're still on every audio platform. There's probably some we're not. I do Podomatic.com, and they're a pretty good company. I've never had any problems with them, never had anything struck down or whatever, and they distribute the audio version of this podcast pretty much any and everywhere. Multiple platforms. You type in the Lanyap Show. Look, I'm going to switch it over so you can see how it's spelled. And you type that in, and you should be good to go. So today, it's not going to be a long episode. I'm pretty burnt out from work, and it's been one of those weeks at work, just to be honest. Let me take a sip of my margarita here, what I've got left of it. But so I'm kind of tired. I don't have a co-host, and I don't want to do a co-host tonight because I want to do a shorter show. Some of you who have subscribed, you know a guy who has been my co-host for many, many years, off and on. We've done so many projects together. You know Kelly. He was diagnosed with, I believe, myeloma cancer, I think is what it's called. It's like a bone marrow cancer. He's having a rough go of it. So, I don't feel that great about it, trying to help him out. I bought him a Roomba, so like he's roughing it, man. He's not as mobile as he could be. So I bought him a Roomba to at least help keep his floors clean a little bit, and he's got a lot of friends and family that are helping him out, but he's in a hospital a lot lately. I don't want to talk too much about his medical stuff, but he is battling cancer and other things that come with it. And the chemo too is tough. And so that's why you haven't seen Kelly on the show lately, especially lately. I would at least have him call in and do a show, but he is kind of not been up to it. And if you're a praying person, I would certainly say, please keep him in your prayers and keep him in your thoughts. And look, the road to cancer, he's lucky that he is a young guy. He's in his mid-30s, and he can hopefully fight this and beat it and live a much longer life than you would think. But in the meantime, you have to go through these struggles and these medical issues, and I just wish him the best. And I just want to say, that's a reason why he hasn't been on in a while and why he's not on tonight, because I would have loved to have him as my co-host tonight and talk, and he's not in the position to do that. So it's a pretty sad situation, unfortunately. But I hope where he's at right now, the issue he's having right now, he pulls through. I hope he watches this. And we wish you the best, brother. Get well soon. All right, let's get into it. A few stories. We're going to bash on Neil Young a little bit later. He kind of made an ass clown of himself this week trying to combat Joe Rogan. It's clear and obvious that he never watched Joe Rogan. He has no idea what it's about. He's just trying to jump on the bandwagon and make a statement and probably trying to become relevant again, because who the hell ever heard anything from Neil Young in like 30 years or something. So I do want to say one other thing. I'm going with a more HD version of my camera. I want to try something out. I had been messing with the settings a lot when I started doing this, still trying to find the proper settings so we have a nice little groove going. But I found some settings that worked. They weren't always the best quality, and my kids ask me, sometimes I'll watch a replay on the TV, and Daddy, why you're so blurry? Well, I think even still, with the settings I'm having now, going with the more HD, higher quality video, because I'm recording on a Facebook stream, and as soon as it's over, like I download the file. I don't know if it pays to wait or not, but it's probably just a low quality because I'm downloading the stream itself and not just recording into and it's Facebook, it's not YouTube. So I don't know. That may be the issue. This may come out very cool and crisp and high quality. I don't know. But if you're watching the video side and you have been watching and like, well, John could get some better equipment and stuff. Honestly, it's because I'm doing it by myself. I read a couple of articles on the internet, and they give you different settings, and I'm still trying to learn and figure out what to do. So let's get into it. Actually, the first story I wanted to talk about here, which is pretty bizarre. So President Joe Biden was going to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to tout his infrastructure bill. And coincidentally, just a few hours before his speech, a bridge in Pittsburgh collapses. The day of his planned visit, just a few hours before his speech. What an incredible coincidence, huh? Look, I don't know what to think of it. Maybe this bridge was so decrepit, it was only a matter of time, and it's just a total crazy coincidence that Biden was going there to do a speech on his infrastructure bill. Maybe it was a planned demo, kind of like a false flag operation. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't live there. If I lived there, I was more familiar with the bridge, maybe I could tell you. I have no connections there. I don't know. But that happened today. The bridge collapsed, and then, of course, he was able to use it as a political prop. So this is from Bloomberg.com, and they're a fake news outlet, and you'll see they'll put the spin on it. It's a pro-Biden spin. Bridge in Pittsburgh collapsed on the day of Biden's planned visit. So at least they say that. But they're just going to say it was only a matter of time. It was a crazy coincidence, and it's just an example of why President Joe Biden is correct. Okay, that's how they're going to frame it. But apparently the bridge was built in 1970, and the deck was rated in poor condition, they say. President Joe Biden said in Pittsburgh that a bridge collapse in the city earlier Friday showed the urgency of his plans to invest hundreds of billions of dollars to rebuild U.S. infrastructure. Quote, "We've got to get on with it. We've got to move," Biden said in remarks after touring the site of the Fern Hollow Bridge. Quote, "We don't need headlines saying that someone was killed when the next bridge collapses." The White House had scheduled Biden's trip to Pittsburgh in politically crucial Pennsylvania well before Friday's disaster. So they knew he was going there. But the bridge collapse, in which 10 people were injured, I heard none of them were life-threatening, served as a vivid illustration for the president's effort to promote the $550 billion infrastructure law he signed in November. Now, I think they did get some heavy snow, and the snow was part of it. And maybe the snow provided a good blanket for explosives for them to demo that bridge. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what happened. Let me be clear. I don't know, but I think it's pretty damn incredible. That's what Biden said as he inspected the detached span coated in a dusting of snow. Incredible, yeah. Boy, what a political prop he has here. And maybe it really happened and it's all natural and just a coincidence. But boy, what a hell of a way to politicize something you can. Now, if this was planned and they hurt 10 people, that's absolutely despicable. Let me just say that. That's disgusting and evil. I mean, the infrastructure bill is already passed, right? So I'm not saying that they did this on purpose. I'm not saying that they were that nefarious, but if they were, if that was on purpose, the fact that they would hurt 10 people just to make a point on a bill that had already passed, well, that's pretty despicable and disgusting. I don't know if that's true, if that's what they were doing, if it's just a coincidence, but like I said, if they did intend that, if there is a little bit more behind the scenes going on, yeah, that's absolutely freaking disgusting, and those are awful people. But we don't know that. Could just be a wacky, crazy coincidence. Later in his speech at Carnegie Mellon University at Mill 19, a former steel mill redeveloped to house tech startups, Biden said that, quote, we're going to rebuild that bridge along with thousands of other bridges in Pennsylvania and across the country. That's from Bloomberg. The bridge built in 1970. They said none of the injuries are life-threatening. So it was in poor condition. There were 4 or 5 cars and a Port Authority bus on it when it collapsed. No immediate indications that anyone was underneath, they say. But it's just got me thinking. It was in poor condition. I don't know. It doesn't say in the article if anybody was actually driving on it. Were they still letting people drive on it every day? And if so, why? If it was in poor enough condition that it could collapse under snow, why would you still let people drive on it? Was that bridge condemned? I don't know, and they don't say in the article. And if it was condemned, if they weren't letting people drive on it, then okay. But if they were letting people drive on it, it wasn't condemned. It was rated in poor condition, but they were still letting the public drive on it. Maybe it was closed because of the snow which was on it, but you know what I mean? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? It really makes you wonder. So that went on today, Friday, January 28th, 2022. Another story that went on today, I just think this was funny. I seen the picture. It caught my eye, and I was like, I'm going to do this story. Look at that. Those of you listening to the audio version of the podcast, it's Governor Jim Justice of West Virginia and baby dog, his bulldog, and he's holding the bulldog upside down. He's got his forearms underneath the hind legs of the dog and showing the dog's butthole and other, genitalia. It's a female dog, it appears, and he's showing the dog's butthole because he's telling his critics to kiss it. This is from BusinessInsider.com. West Virginia Governor Jim Justice told Bette Midler and critics to kiss his dog's hiney and hoisted the bulldog during his State of the State address. Look at that. I mean, that's great. Regardless of how you feel politically about this guy. And look, I'm not a big fan of Bette Midler and her politics, so kiss it, Bette Midler. As I take the last swig of margarita, but you know what? I'm going to pause and get a little bit more of this Jefferson's bourbon in here. This is good stuff. It's absolutely one of my favorites. And Thomas Jefferson, my favorite president of all time. So we'll just put a little bit of that. That'll help me make it through the rest of the show. Just a little splash in there. Comme ça. All right, let's get back to the story. In the bulldog butthole. Kiss it, Bette Midler. Right? So, Governor Jim Justice of West Virginia took his flair for the dramatic to new heights on Thursday, bringing his pet bulldog into the House of Delegates to hammer home a point of pride. Justice, who caused his sign language interpreter to crack up, made Baby Dog the star of his State of the State address. The Charleston Gazette-Mail captured the moment. Justice, a Republican who defected from the Democratic Party early in President Donald Trump's term. Oh, he defected from the Democratic Party during President Trump's term. Okay, I did not know that. I don't really know much about this guy, but that's pretty interesting. So I guess he was part of the walk away movement, right? He has pulled several stunts and given notable quotes in his tenure as the Mountain State's leader. He made Baby Dog something of a mascot for his state's vaccination rollout, even naming West Virginia's vaccine sign-up website doitforbabydog.wv.gov. Do it for Baby Dog. Baby Dog. I like that. The pet has starred in a series of public announcements from the governor's mansion. So I guess he's pro-vaccine, I'm guessing. So the Democrats shouldn't hate him that much, right? He's a Republican, but he was a Democrat. Y'all drove him out the party. And obviously he's pro-vax, right? He's telling people to get vaccinated. Do it for Baby Dog, y'all. Do it for Baby Dog. Yet none of his performances to date match that of his State of the State address in Charleston. Alex Thompson wrote, "Oh my God, West Virginia Governor Jim Justice during his State of the State address lifts his dog and turns her butt to the camera while saying, quote, they told every bad joke in the world about us, so from that standpoint, Baby Dog tells Bette Midlet and all those out there, kiss her hiney." Can we watch this?
Literally, too many people doubted us. They never believed in West Virginia. They never believed in West Virginia that we could do it. They never believed that the Nucors or the Green Power or Owens and Minor, they never believed they'd be here. They told every bad joke in the world about us. And so from that standpoint, Baby Dog tells Bette Midler and all those out there, kiss her hiney.
Oh, man, we got it. So that was the video from far away, but I like the picture at the top because you get a good zoomed in video of that hiney. Kiss it. So that happened. I'm not going to read the rest of that story here. And one more thing before we bash on Neil Young. We'll go to this story. So here's another rock star who's in the news. Now, Kid Rock has been on the news at least more recently than Neil Young has been, even though his heyday is kind of past too. But Kid Rock says he won't show up at any of his tour stops that have a vaccine mandate. This is from thehill.com. Kid Rock says he'll refuse to play at any venue that requires proof of a COVID-19 vaccine on his forthcoming concert tour. Quote, there's been a lot of talk about vaccine mandates in venues, people saying, I'm not going to go to that venue because there's a vaccine mandate. The all summer long singer said in a Thursday video posted on his Facebook page, quote, if you think I'm going to sit out there and sing Don't Tell Me How to Live and We the People while people are holding up their effing vaccine cards and wearing masks, that shit ain't happening. The 51, I love how they edited effing, the F word, but they let shit be in there. Like it's at this point, does it fucking matter? You see? The 51-year-old performer who was born Robert Ritchie told fans the day before tickets went on sale for his nationwide Bad Reputation tour. claiming his team conducted research to ensure that all stops on the 2016 summer tour won't be requiring COVID-19 vaccine proof. Kid Rock said that if some slipped through or mandates are imposed, quote, trust me, you don't have to worry about getting your money back because I won't be showing up either. All right, kid. There you go. That's Kid Rock's statement. And then we have the petulant child that is Neil Young. You remember when Neil Young, like many rock and rollers, were rock and roll, man? They were anti-authority. Now they just lick the boots. Don't question the government at all. It's yes. Yes, sir, Big Daddy Government. Whatever you say, I'll absolutely bend over for you. Just run it on in, why don't you? Boy, that's good. That is some good bourbon. You hear how much deeper my voice got. Woo, love that Jefferson. All right, Neil Young, earlier in the week, came out and said he was going to request that Spotify take his music catalog off or take Joe Rogan's podcast off Spotify. Said it's one or the other. It's Young or Rogan. Now, the reason why he said this is because it's supposed to be that Joe Rogan is spreading vaccine misinformation, COVID misinformation. And, I mean, number one, the idea that you're not allowed to talk about COVID or the vaccine, air quotes there, without, if you say anything other than the government's narrative, the idea that you're talking about it is misinformation or disinformation and you have to be banned. If you at all criticize or question the mainstream narrative, you can't do that. Or they want to ban you. They want to censor you. Folks, I mean, you remember what they did to Galileo, right? They thought they thought Albert Einstein was a nut job when he first started talking about space-time and all of that. Science isn't science if you're not allowed to question it. That's the whole thing. That's how it works. You have to question it. And so, I don't know, folks. I really don't know. I'm checking the stream just to see if my HD thing, it looks like we have a good connection. But I don't know. You're not allowed to even talk about it. The only thing you're allowed to say about the vaccine or about COVID is anything that the government has said. If you say anything or even question, they want to ban you. They want to delete you. All of a sudden, you're anti-vax. A lot of people are just anti-mandate. I'm anti-mandate about anything. The only thing that I would say there should be a mandate for is that we shouldn't have any mandates. And I don't even like putting a mandate to say that. That's how anti-mandate I am. That doesn't make me anti-vax. I've got most of the vaccines you're supposed to have. My kids got their vaccines, everyone they're supposed to have. They don't have the COVID vaccine. But those things have been real, proven vaccines. Some of them, yeah. I mean, look, there's always people that are going to get injured with all medicine. But the fact that that's true, right? We all know that's true. All the vaccines we have, there's always chances for side effects, that people can get injured. Not everybody's the same. People have different allergies and whatnot. And yet, it seems like my computer doesn't want to be charging right now. And yet, you still can't admit it's some kind of disinformation or whatever if you get injured from the vaccine. They want to shut it down. You can't possibly mention that. It's got to be perfect 100% across the board. Nobody gets injured from the vaccine. No allergic reaction. Nothing. It didn't even hurt when they stabbed you with the needle, right? You can't even say that. Why are you so vaccine hesitant? Well, y'all, it's the way y'all fucking act about it, man. Shit. So anyway, Joe Rogan had a guy who was very instrumental in creating the mRNA technology that they used to create these COVID, again, quote-unquote, vaccines. They're essentially the vaccine. They call the other ones boosters, right? They come after. But these vaccines are essentially just boosters. They boost up your immune system. They don't stop the transmission. They don't stop you from catching it. I mean, you took the polio vaccine, you didn't get polio, right? That's what a vaccine does. You get the COVID vaccine, you can still get it, you can still spread it, right? I mean, that's just truth. Is that disinformation? No, it's not. That's the truth. But it boosts you, and it helps the illness from being worse and more deadly in some situations, right? Simple. But because what that doctor said, and that's Dr. Malone, he said, look, just like with any medication, you take that same medication too much over and over again, you can start to be immune. You can start to build up some tolerance to it. Not immune, but you can start to build up some tolerance to it, right? And people didn't like that because he said you can't, if you just keep taking boosters and boosters and boosters and boosters of that same thing, it could eventually go wrong and work against you and make you more vulnerable. I mean, anybody knows that. You build up a tolerance to alcohol, any sort of drug or anything. You keep taking it, you build up a tolerance. It could make you more vulnerable. The guy created the technology that they're using. And he was at least very instrumental. He's got more patents than anybody on it, so he's pretty much the leader in creating it. But that aside, so Joe Rogan, they're just talking, man. He's just having people on his podcast talking. And the mere fact that somebody goes on and doesn't say exactly what the government wants them to say, that just questions something, it goes a little awry. You know, people like Neil Young and all of these, you remember they said it was a bunch of doctors, like hundreds of doctors who were asking Spotify to remove Joe Rogan's podcast. Turns out they weren't all doctors. Some of them were veterinarians. Well, veterinarian's a doctor, yeah, but they're not qualified to speak on what they were trying to speak on. Some of them were just podcast hosts. Some of them were veterinarians. Some of them were just medical students and researchers, but whatever. It's neither here nor there. But a bunch of these people, if they would just sit down and listen to the podcast, would probably have no problem with it. But they don't. They're like, I don't have to. I've seen the comments of people talking about this. I don't remember the website. It was an MMA website where the story came out about the letter with the quote-unquote doctors that weren't all doctors. And these people were saying, I don't even have to watch the podcast. I already know Joe Rogan doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not qualified, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, but they had a doctor. Oh, that doctor's a quack, and he's blah, blah, blah. I don't have to listen to that to know. So they don't even know what they're talking about. They are just following what other people tell them. Uncritically. They just believe it. Just gullible as fuck and believe it. That's all it is. They're just fucking gullible. It's a team thing, man. They want to be on the team. So one of these gullible as fuck motherfuckers is Neil Young. Now you may remember Neil Young. He had a couple of songs that made it big, Heart of Gold and Southern Man. And I think Leonard Skinner pretty much ended his career because they went back against Southern Man. And I think after, actually later on, Neil Young apologized about Southern Man, and he said he shouldn't have just painted the whole South as a blanket, because they're actually, when you think about people that own slavery, it was about slavery, which is disgusting, of course, but only the rich had slaves, and there weren't a whole lot of rich people in the South. It was a few people who did own a lot of slaves. But most of the people in the South were poor. They couldn't afford to own a slave. So when you were trying, saying, oh, it's just the white people, all those ignorant Southern people. No, the ignorant Southern people didn't own any slaves. It was the rich motherfuckers. There was a lot of slaves, but it was only a few people that owned them, They had big plantations full of slaves. But Billy Joe Bob and those cats, man, they didn't own any slaves. They couldn't afford that. You kidding me? So he apologized for that later on, for painting the South with a wide brush. But Leonard Skinner, they created Sweet Home Alabama as a response to Neil Young and pretty much buried him. You know the song Southern Man? A lot of you don't. I do. I'm a guitarist. I love classic rock. I love all kinds of music, but especially the older stuff. So I'm familiar with Neil Young and his music. And for the most part, it's boring and it fucking sucks. It's true. He's a pretty good guitarist, but yeah, there's guitarists come a fucking dime a dozen. And so Leonard Skinner pretty much fucking buried him in his career. I mean, what has Neil Young done since the fucking 70s? I don't know. It was Heart of Gold? No, I think that was still 70s. Like, this guy's been fucking nowhere. They love him in Canada, but, Canada loves a bunch of dumb shit anyways. I do like hockey. I'm wearing my Ducks hockey jersey like I wear all the time. By the way, I do wear different clothes underneath this hockey jersey. You might see me in this in multiple videos when I do today's crazy news. A few days in a row I'll wear this. I wear different clothes underneath it, man. It's cold in Louisiana. It's 50 degrees. I'm freezing. Not used to that cold weather. It has gotten down in the 30s the past few weeks. So I'm growing the beard out again and wearing the hockey jerseys and the beanies. But anyways, Neil Young, right? I'm going to take another sip. Neil Young is, he made an ass clown out of himself, because anybody who watched the Joe Rogan thing would know Joe Rogan's he's not telling people this is the fact or whatever. They're having a discussion. People are talking about it. When you have pushback against that, you're not pushing back against disinformation. You're pushing back against people having a discussion, okay? They're trading ideas around. They might not always be 100% correct, but they're asking questions and analyzing stuff. Are you saying we're not allowed to question the government? We're not allowed to question our authorities? We should just take their word for it and go on? The last Lanyap show I had with Sean, check that one out. It's about all the times what he did, the top 9 or 10 times the government lied, this conspiracy they were theories, and now they're true. We found out they were true. All the times the government and the medical industry and stuff lied to people. So that does happen. But in this case, you're not even allowed to question it. There's something wrong with you if you question it. You should just take it that they're telling you the truth. Just take it for granted. So it's clear he never watched the Joe Rogan Experience. Otherwise, he'd know it's just people having a discussion. They're not telling you this is an absolute fact. Even Dr. Robert Malone was like, well, it seems to be, he's like vaccinated and boosted, man. He's not even like a wacky. How is he anti vaccine. They want to call him an anti-vax doctor. When he created the vaccines, his whole career is creating vaccines. Again, they have no idea what they're talking about when they bash it. Now, the thing is Neil Young said, okay, Spotify, it's Young or Rogan. Take my music down or take Joe Rogan down. Here's the thing. Neil Young, the reports came out, his songs, he got 6 million, he averaged 6 million plays on all of his tunes a month. Joe Rogan averages, just the average, not the videos that they call attention to, because then you have the Barbra Streisand effect. But just the videos that Joe Rogan, the average video is 11 million. 11 million audience. One. He does like 4 videos a week, okay? So what does that tell you? And then the one with Dr. Malone, because people kept talking about it, it got more attention. The Streisand effect. I think it got up to like 26 million or so views. Neil Young, 6 million plays a month. Sorry, bro, you gone. It's a business decision. Spotify came out and they said, well, we have deleted some podcasts and censored some stuff because of COVID misinformation, but we don't see that to be an issue with Joe Rogan's show. And get the fuck out of here because nobody gives a fuck about you. You had like 2 songs that were worth a damn from the 70s. And you've been irrelevant since. But this guy, you know, he was a political protester. He was, at times, anti-government. He would challenge authority. And now, he's a fucking bootlicker. Bend over, yeah, just give it to me, Big Daddy Government. Give it to me, Big Daddy Government. So, Spotify said, okay, you got your wish, man. No Neil Young music on Spotify. So what happens is Neil Young turns into a petulant child, as you can see here. It's from Engadget. Neil Young was sped up with Spotify's shitty sound quality anyway. He didn't like it. Oh, well, you suck anyways, man. The musician felt better after his music was removed from the platform this week. Quote, Amazon, Apple Music, and what is that? Qobuz deliver up to 100% of the music quality today, and it sounds a lot better than the shitty, degraded, and neutered sound of Spotify. Dude, your music sounds like shit because it sounds like shit no matter where you listen to it. He didn't have the greatest producer. His music fucking sucked. A lot of it sucked. I mean, Heart of Gold was kind of okay. Southern Man even kind of sucked. It didn't sound good at all. Young wrote in the latest letter published to his website. Oh, by the way, when he first put that ultimatum up, he put it on his website. They had taken it down not long after. And it turns out he already sold like most of his catalog, so he kind of doesn't have a say in it anyways. But if you support Spotify, you are destroying an art form, he said. He urged fans to switch to a platform that truly cares about his music. And I think Apple came out in support of him. And I do want to say this. So if you're one of those people that want to boycott or whatever, after this happened and Neil Young got all his songs kicked off of Spotify, SiriusXM launched the Neil Young Radio after Spotify agrees to remove music. So if you were a SiriusXM supporter, they said, quote, when you have an opportunity to present an iconic artist still with the height of his creativity. Oh, hold on. Oh, no, they didn't. I read that quote. I didn't notice they said that. I didn't notice. Still at the height of his creativity. When's the last time he had a song on a new song on the radio? Somebody? Anybody? Oh my God! I thought Neil Young was making an Assclown out of himself. Sirius XM. Steve Blatter, Senior Vice President and General Manager of Music Programming. Hold on, I gotta take another sip of bourbon for this. Boy, that's unbelievable. When you have an opportunity to present an iconic artist still at the height of his creativity. All right, we have his... remind me on what his age is again. Isn't it? He's in his 70s, dude. He's like 70. He's the height of his creativity and he's 74 or something. Quote, outspoken, brave, and a true music icon. He's outspoken. Who is he speaking out against? Joe Rogan and Spotify and Dr. Malone. Is that being outspoken? Or is repeating government narrative and repeating mainstream narrative? Who is he speaking out? To be outspoken, you have to speak out. Who's he speaking out against? Joe Rogan. Is he speaking out against the mainstream? Is he speaking out against CNN, MSNBC? Is he speaking out against the WHO and the CDC, who have admitted that they've lied to us? Is he speaking out against any of those? No. He's outspoken against the minority. How fucking brave. He's brave, right? He's brave because he goes with Big Pharma. Is he speaking out against Big Pharma? Is he speaking out against Pfizer? Brought to you by Pfizer. This blah, 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 brought to you by Pfizer. Is he speaking out against that? No! He's speaking out against Joe Rogan. Unbelievable. How brave this fucking clown. And a true music icon. The only people that considered Neil Young an icon probably already died from COVID. He's a rare class of artist, all right. We are honored to collaborate with him to create a special audio experience for his fans. Sirius XM, folks. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You do what you want. But that's it, man. That is what happened this week. A lot of other stuff happened this week, but that's what I wanted to talk about. And again, it's going to be a short video for obvious reasons. I'm just burnt out. I had so much stuff going on. Real quick, before I sign off here, do want to give a shout out to my boy Chris Logan, who I'm helping him doing a little live producing video, just pushing the buttons. And he does all the other work. He does all the research and everything. It's a pretty cool show. If you like 80s and 90s pop culture, maybe you graduated and went to high school in the 80s and 90s, you love the music from that era, you love the movies and media from that era. I didn't graduate till 2003, right? But I still enjoy the show, and I love the pop culture from that era, especially the 80s, because even though I might have been a little bit young at that time, I still remember some of it, and I'm kind of an older soul at heart. So I like the older stuff more than the newer stuff. So it's called Class Reunion with Chris Logan, and we have been talking about potentially getting him on the podcast to promote his show and talk a little bit about it. And he's a cool dude. He's been doing radio for decades, so he's got that presentation aspect down, and it's just cool, man, to talk about Ninja Turtles and WCW and all of these these great movies like Beetlejuice and the Cars from back then. The most recent one, I believe it was 1988. He was talking about the Chevy S10 pickup truck. So it's called Class Reunion with Chris Logan. If you want to reminisce with some 1980s and 1990s pop culture, it's one video a week. You can check it out on YouTube. He's also got a Facebook group and stuff going, and I think he's starting to populate on Rumble as well. So I wanted to give a shout out there, and we'll get him on the show soon. But for tonight, that is going to wrap it up for me. A quicker show. Just wanted to talk about Neil Young and a few of those things. Don't forget, the Lon Yop Show, absolutely free. BitChute.com, Rumble.com, everywhere you can get a podcast, and on YouTube, because we're going to take the fight on enemy territory. If you like it, man. If you want to see other friends, you want to have other friends see this, share it. Subscribe if you want more of this content. And I really thank you for watching. Again, we got a comment. Somebody said, who's paying you money? Well, nobody's paying me money for this. I think on BitChute there's a donation button, but we've never gotten one single donation, and I don't care. I just do this for fun. And I would like to talk about some things that other people aren't talking about. Let me just say this right before I sign off. Part of the reason why I'm doing this is because a lot of people that I run into on a daily basis don't know a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about on Friday nights. And some of you who are subscribing and watching this, you're probably subscribed to Tim Pool, Styx Hexenhammer, Razor Fist, Jimmy Dore, and you do know all of this stuff, and I'm just another guy saying a lot of the same stuff that they are, covering the same stories that they are. But a lot of the people that I run into on a daily basis aren't watching any of this stuff on YouTube or BitChute. They're not. And so when I bring up these stories, like, hey, did you hear this? Hey, did you hear that? And they're like, no, I didn't hear that. So I'll run into them every day at work and everything else, and I'm telling them all these stories, and it's the same. It's like, well, let me go online and do this podcast and talk about the same stuff I wanted to talk with these people to at work because they hadn't heard it. And if they're not going to follow some of these great creators, maybe they'll follow me because they know me personally. So I'm going to go out and put this material out there. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. Plus, it's fun, man. I got the little thing inside of me. I'm a creator. So for those of you who don't know me, who just, watch and subscribe and actually enjoy this content from time to time, I really, truly appreciate it. And again, like, share, subscribe. Thanks so much. It really means a lot just that we have one other view who's not me. He's watching my own video. So and we do have plenty. So it's thanks a lot so much. We'll do this again next week. And again, my co-host, for those of you who'd like to send thoughts and prayers to my co-host Kelly, who hasn't been around in a while, man. He's in a bind. He's trying to tough it out. So please, those of you, thoughts and prayers to him. And thank you so much for watching. Peace.